What's good? How you doing? It's your girl D. Pay no attention to this part. Well, all right. So, I jumped directly back into the convention scene this summer with 3 back-to-back conventions inside of like a 5.5 week period. And at each of those conventions, I wore face paint. And I had a lot of questions about how my face paint would stay intact. I will be real 100% with you right now. There is no way to have your face paint stay 100% intact with face masks in heat. You're going to have to fix it at some point in time. But can you prolong the wear and prevent it from rubbing off immediately? Yes. And I will discuss that in this upcoming video. So here is today's face paint. I was Lady Hades, and it's hard to get this shade of blue. Like in pictures, it matches, I believe. Outside in the sun, it matches, but it's hard to get the identical shade of blue. So, but one thing that I do like to wear, so that I don't have to do a lot of body paint, is gloves. These gloves came from We Love Colors. Typically I make my own, or I would get tights from We Love Colors and then turn those into arm socks. They finally capitalized and actually are selling them right now. I like them, but also I don't like the design. Like theirs is just a generic, it's a really nice design, but like you see how long that pinky is? Short pinkies. So, you know, I would usually have to manipulate these gloves a little bit. I just ran out of time today because I am forever late due to who it is that I am as a person. I have not found a way to where my face paint can last 100% untouched under a face mask and in the heat. Too many elements working against me. But I was able to have my paint last for most of the appearance at the conventions. So again, you're not going to be able to get out of this without having to repair your paint in some way, shape, or form. But here are some tips and tricks on how it is that you can work with your face paint and still have it last so that it's not immediately rubbing off. The first and foremost is you want to make sure, no matter what, that you've got a good skincare routine and that you've got good skin prep going into your painting. I always do a heavy moisturizer and some type of primers, maybe 1 or 2, but that's also because I have oily skin, so my oil would naturally break through the layers of paint and makeup as it is. But so I usually do a lot of prep so that way my paint can last. And I've got a nice good canvas for it to start with. So whatever your skin type is, skincare prep that is necessary for you. I can't tell you to use a hydrating primer when you already have heavy skin, or I can't tell you to use something that makes your skin dry when you already have dry skin and stuff like that. You know, like you have to, I would say, do what's best for your own skin type. Secondly, make sure that you have the right paint for the occasion. I like water-based paints because they do come off easily with soap and water. My paint of choice has always been Maron. I've tried their cream sticks and I cannot get jiggy with them. It's like, I've heard them also called referred to as grease paint because it is kind of slick and it takes a lot to build up to the kind of layer it is that I would want. So I don't use those. There's other types of paint out there. There's also a lot of affordable paint too. Wet n Wild is a good brand as well. If you want something still along the same quality as Maron, but you don't want dead ass cheap Walmart nameless brand packaging or whatever, Snazaroo is a good alternative as a water-based paint. Now there's also alcohol-based paints too, which typically will set faster and take a little bit more to be removed, but you have to work quickly with those. And that's one that I haven't expanded my skill set into utilizing those just yet. So again, I'm just speaking from my experience with Mehron face paint. Another tip that I had heard is that you can use, instead of water with your water-based paint, you can use setting spray instead, or add a little bit of setting spray into your water. So that way you've got your own little solvent, I suppose you could say. It didn't work as well for me. And I went into this makeup look using, typically I do the dark paint first and then add in the light, but I went into it with the opposite this time. I added the lighter shades first and then went in with the darker to blend everything out. It didn't work as well for me because the strongest setting sprays that I have are the Ben Nye Final Seal and then the Mehron Barrier Spray. But because of the fact that those are strong, high alcohol content sprays, it ate up the paint immediately. Like, it dried down so fast before I could even really apply it. So if you could move swiftly enough to where that could be beneficial to you, that is an alternative. Now, things that I did do 100% no matter what, I customized my face masks. So my masks, I actually made my own pattern for them that was wider in the cheeks with a little bit more fabric expanded upon them. So that way it wasn't as tight on my face. Yes, it did cover up my nose and my mouth as it should have, but it wasn't dead ass super tight on my face. And yes, tight enough to, it's just in between. Like, you know, obviously your mask should cover your face to prevent transmission of infections and all that good stuff. Yes, but also I made mine to where they weren't as tight upon my face, so that way it wouldn't rub against the hot spots. The hot spots for me are my cheeks, because I have big cheeks, and the bridge of my nose, as well as my chin, since that tends to protrude a little bit. I typically have a nose bridge for my masks, but they're bigger in those areas, so that way there's less friction. And I always use some type of satin material on the inside of those masks, so that way it doesn't rub against the paint, or if it does, it's minimal. Obviously, you need to have some type of translucent setting powder. Baby powder can work in a pinch if you are using a lighter colored paint or something like that. I am almost out of it, but I use this Tarte Rainforest of the Sea filtered light setting powder because it is kind of a light vanilla color but not stark white, so it doesn't 100% alter the appearance of my paint as I set it in place. Again, you need to have some type of very strong setting spray, and do not be afraid to bring your paint with you for touch-ups, as well as some of that setting spray. I again mentioned Ben Nye Final Seal. There's also Mehron's Barrier Spray. I do have, I'm not saying that you need to go buy this, but this is like my best, the Satin Skin Mist from Tatcha. And then in a pinch, if you do not have one of those strong grade barrier sprays, I'm going to say this, and I want you to interpret this very carefully. I am not saying that you need to utilize this next product on a regular basis, as it is not intended for your face. I am just saying that on my days where I need to go hard and have my paint last for a very long time, it can work. Aerosol hairspray, like some, and I don't mean white girl in a derogatory phrasing, I mean like not for me hairspray, that kind of hairspray that spritz, that's the aerosol kind that locks that shit in place. Again, it is not intended for your face, so do not do this shit with every single makeup look on every single day of the week. This is emergency only, or this is, you know what, not necessarily an emergency, but today, on this particular day of this con that I have to be here at 10 for 10 hours, I need it to last. That can work for you if you so choose to utilize it. Again, I am not saying that you need to do this. I'm just saying that it worked for me. I am not actually the discoverer of this tidbit, but I'm not going to refer you to who put me on. So that way, in case someone wants to jump in my comments and say, hey, Diana, you know, that's really bad. Cool. You know, snitches get stitches and stuff. This got to be blasting freeze spray with the screaming hold. I will use this for wigs, and I will go ahead and use this to set, it is also really great for body paint. When I had to paint my hands at NakaCon, the purple on the back of my hands did not budge, and I had to scrub that shit off for once. So really great for body paint. Not intended for your actual pores on your skin. It's supposed to be for hair, wigs, and shit like that. But it can be sufficient in a pinch. And then again, as mentioned, bring your paint with you no matter what. I'm just saying, you're not going to get out of this 100%. You're not going to get out of wearing face paint and a face mask and not have your paint rub off in some way, shape, or form. I have tried back to back to back. I have gotten better at it. So again, I would like to share my tidbits with what was successful for me with you all, in the hopes that it could potentially be beneficial. Ultimately, just make sure that you're healthy and social distancing as well. But in regards of wearing face paint as well as a face mask, there's a few things that you can do to help prolong said paint. But again, it is impossible, at least for me, who lives in the Midwest with the Midwest humidity, it is impossible to not have your face paint rub off underneath your face mask at some point in time during the convention. But can you at least minimize that from happening? Yes. And that's what I hope that these tips and tricks did for you. Other than that, I hope that you enjoyed. And if you do have any additional questions or concerns, please feel free to let me know. I forgot my outro. Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. If you have any questions or suggestions, hit your girl up in the comments section. If you are new here, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. And if you're not here for me or my shenanigans, honestly, that's fine. But there is an X in the corner that you can click. It's okay. I won't miss you. But if you are here for me and my shenanigans, you're beautiful, amazing, wonderful, spectacular. And if no one else has told you, I appreciate you. Take care.